What's up, everybody? Long time no see. We're back. What's up, Greg? How's it going?
I'm doing all right on this hot summer start.
All right, man. So California seems a little gloomy today. Kind of odd, right? Today it's been a little gloomy today. But we're pouring one for I don't know, rejoice that we're back.
For the homies.
Here you go, Greg. That's
you.
for you, sir. I'm gonna pour myself one here. But what's new with everybody? We've been gone. There's a few things that have happened. Some personal, some trips we had to take. But we're back. So you can go back to being happy if you enjoy listening to this podcast. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, my name is Marco. This is Greg. We typically do a podcast every week. This is the Ether podcast of the Thought Process Podcast family. And this is where you can call in at any time in this stream, as long as we're live, to share your story with us. Today in particular, we're talking about nature calls. And basically, are you for an adventure or Netflix and chill? What do you find it important to be out in nature, or are you a couch potato? So what the fuck is up, everybody? Greg, we've taken some trips. You went to Mammoth Lake, or what was it again?
I went up to the Mammoth area. It was about 30 minutes north between Yosemite and Mammoth. Lake called Grant Lake.
How was that?
It's a mix of feelings. it was good and it was bad. So it's pretty consistent, 90 degrees plus every day, right in the sun. So that didn't help much, but we were probably like maybe 40, 50 feet from the lake water. So we could just walk down there and jump in. We took a boat with us. We were able to
before you
enjoy.
Continue, cheers
Cheers
to everybody who is listening to this podcast live. Thank you guys for joining us. Greg is just telling us about a trip to Mammoth Lake. Both good and bad things happened.
Yeah, so first day we got there, we just trying to decide on an area to go because there's a couple different spots we can go to, and so that was where the first argument came in. Some people wanted one area, some people wanted another, and so we got through that argument, set up, and realized we didn't have much of anything. We went to the grocery store and picked up food, but
you mean like you guys came out there a little unprepared?
Yeah, but I knew that was gonna happen. I've been.
Were you unprepared?
Begging.
Like you personally unprepared, or was it just like?
So no. I had stuff to be perfectly fine.
Okay.
That night, but I was saying for like a whole week, hey, let's get stuff. Let's get this. Let's get some planning. Let's get it rolling, and just everyone's like, yeah, we'll be all right. So I packed a few things to make sure that the kids could eat, and we would guarantee have something. I took top ramen and I took oatmeal packets, and I took 2 pots, and we had water. And I was like, if we gotta eat, we eat ramen and we eat oatmeal for the next 2 days.
Yeah,
so not a big deal. But then everyone's complaining that we don't have a non-stick pan, and I was just like, if I didn't pack these pans, we wouldn't have had pans. You son of a.
So they're complaining that you even had pans?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, but they're not the nice ones, not the non-stick.
Yeah.
Do you even have a cast iron pan? Like,
yeah,
dude,
I
that's a pain in the ass because, if you didn't bring anything, shut the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
No disrespect to your friends, but.
Oh no, they all know I said it. But it wasn't too bad. That first night, we were going to make hamburgers, and we realized that the pans that I brought weren't really hamburger cooking pans. Like I could do maybe 2 hamburgers at a time.
Yeah.
So luckily enough, at the grocery store we stopped off, I picked up these little rice packets, flavored Spanish rice packets. And I was like, hey, we can just make the kids.
You boil them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can make the kids some ramen, and then after that, doesn't matter if we don't clean the pan. It's just gonna be some chicken flavoring.
Yeah.
We'll cook the rice, and we'll throw the hamburger in just like broken up, and that was a good meal because we actually used the rest of that in the morning. They mixed some eggs in with it to make it like a little bit more breakfasty.
Yeah. So like fried rice almost.
Yeah, something kind of like that. And then that day, some more people were going to be showing up for in the middle of the day, closer to dinner. So we had food for sandwiches for the middle of the day to get us through. And that following day, the people who came made this beef stew on one of those forget what they call it, like the cowboy pits where they use a Dutch oven and they hang it off a chain over the fire.
Not sure what that's called, but I know what a Dutch oven is. It's
so
not the same thing you're talking about.
Do you know what a Dutch oven is in the
No,
cooking term?
no.
So it's like a cast iron pan, but it's a covered pot.
Okay.
And it works almost like an oven, so you can actually cook like apple pies in it and things like that while you're camping. And
that's cool.
So they made this like gourmet beef stew with Guinness, and it took 3 hours to cook the whole thing. They even brought flour and coated the meat in the flour, and it was really good. The unfortunate part is the Dutch oven was so small that everyone got like just like one ladle full. but then they also brought hamburgers, and they had a pan, so they made a bunch of hamburgers.
Oh, that's cool.
And some of the kids were like freaking out because they couldn't get on their phones. They had no reception. Like one was having one was having a panic attack because of it. I'm not even joking. It was
because there was no reception.
Yeah. And
is this the first time that person was out camping?
I'm guessing so. But
typical kids.
They were gonna make hamburgers, and then my roommate took all the kids to go get reception, so they calmed down. And I was just like, why would you do that? And so they left right as dinner was going to be done. I said, hey, if you guys leave, you're probably not going to get dinner.
Yeah.
And they just wanted the reception so bad. So I didn't say anything to anyone.
For how long? I mean, how long was he planning to be out there? Like,
well, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes just to get out of our campsite because you have to go off-road. So you have to take it a little slow. And then from the moment you get out of the off-road trail, it's another 10-ish minutes to anywhere that might have some kind of reception.
Yeah.
And then, so that right there is about 25 minutes just traveling plus however long you stay wherever it is you got connection. So it was upwards of an hour plus.
And that's how long they stayed out there for a couple hours, or
they were gone for probably an hour and a half. And so we ate all the stew.
So what was it so important that they wanted to go out, like play games, or like I don't understand.
They just wanted to talk to their friends, look at the internet. Like there was nothing important. The one person wanted to call their mom, which you can understand homesick. To say, hey, I got here, but it wasn't that. It was like they just wanted to call their mom. And so I said, hey, I'm not going to save you food. If you're gone, you're gone.
How old were these kids?
Between 5 and 14.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
so
I would expect it, to be honest.
So they made some hamburgers and they made stew. We all ate the stew because we knew none of the kids were going to eat it. And then they were making hamburgers. And when the kids got back, they had a couple hamburgers left, and they said, hey, does anyone want hamburgers?
Yeah.
And they made them anyways. And someone came up to me and said, do you want one? I said, does anyone else want one? Because I've had half of one already. And so they asked everyone. No one wanted it. I made sure to say super loud, hey, does anyone else want a hamburger? I'm going to eat it if no one wants it. I eat it.
They didn't say anything.
Not even 10 minutes later, girl sits down and goes, I'm still waiting on my hamburger. I was like, tough luck. I ate it.
You're like, well, you better go catch it yourself and fucking cook it yourself,
yeah,
you know?
Go eat some goldfish.
Go eat some goldfish. Oh, my God.
But, yeah, the kids are really, really... My son was a little too young, and he's in this phase where he's scared of everything. He's scared of butterflies. He's scared of squirrels. He's always been scared of dogs, which I don't necessarily think that's weird.
Yeah.
There's enough people out there who are scared of dogs, but to be scared of a butterfly, like I've never heard that before.
to be scared of a butterfly. The
Yeah.
butterfly effect is real, then, man. I mean, that flutter of that butterfly's wings is definitely going to affect us, and it has. Now we're talking about it. Isn't that crazy? Simulation, dude. This is just a simulation. No, so I mean, always dealing with kids, right? Because I had a similar experience. They weren't just kids; it was babies. So on the way there, we carpooled with my sister. I with our goddaughter, and it was like a nice drive on the way there, but it was so bizarre because every time we got into the car, so we actually stayed in Three Rivers.
Hmm.
Are you familiar? Like this is
Yeah.
like at the foothills of the Sequoia National Park.
Yeah.
And my brother, who organized the trip, told us super late we couldn't get a campsite, so we had to go and lodge. So we went glamping,
Cheap.
and it wasn't the experience I wanted, but it was nice to have after. I mean, it was hot, dude. It was really hot. It was upwards of like 100. If you weren't in the river, it was hot. So, being able to go back to the place and swim in the pool, when you're done, kind of rinse off and then shower, it was nice. Like I'm not gonna take that for granted, right? It was nice.
Oh, every morning I went to go. I walked down. It was probably like 6 in the morning. I walked down to the lake. No one else is awake yet, and I did the whole Wim Hof thing, like rub the water on you, get used to the water, and then I went in and I was sitting in freezing cold water, 6 o'clock in the morning. But it was the best thing of the day because the sun's not out hitting you. You've rinsed off all that sunscreen from the
Mhm.
day before, all that dirt, and you just feel good. The only bad thing is all
You're
the
buff
bugs.
naked.
All the bugs. No, I couldn't get butt naked here. There was nowhere I could hide.
Yeah.
But
No, well, so similar story, right? So the kids, it was weird because every time we got into the car ride, my niece would just cry.
yeah,
And when we were out in nature, she was sleeping. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what's going on here? Like, come on, you're going to sleep during the most important time. You're supposed to be out exploring, having fun, running around, touching things, getting to know the world. You're sleeping, and then on the car ride, when you're supposed to be sleeping, you're just annoying the shit out of me because I had to drive. So, but it was overall it was good. It was two families. The first time we had two families like that, it was a lot of people, but the one thing is that most people agreed on what we were going to do, which was really, really easy. It was good. You know, um, we got there Saturday because we went from Saturday to Monday.
okay.
We got there Saturday morning, had breakfast. We set up camp, had breakfast. We all went to the river,
Hmm.
and by the time we were in the river, it was about noon. So sun is hot. The water was cold. It was amazing to just get in there, dude. And Saturday, particularly Saturday, there were no people out there. There was like one family outside of us
Okay.
in sight. So we had like there was, I mean, maybe we'll post something later, but we had like a rock, like a boulder you can jump off into a pool. You had to be careful because there were rocks on both sides, but it was very exhilarating. It was so awesome to just be out there and for just a moment to forget about all the bullshit, the traffic, the everything, the hard shit that's happened. Just everything.
Hmm.
It was a long week. Actually, it's been a freaking long month.
Yep.
And just getting away from everything and kind of reconnecting with Earth was really, really cool. Zero cell phone service at all throughout the whole trip. I made arrangements so that work wouldn't bother me. I was just out there. I mean, the kids were a little, they got up here a little bit, but it was they're kids. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's what they do. So, besides that, I mean, exploring. At one point in time, I was like just shirtless and like just my my swim trunks, and my brother's like, "Oh, let's go check out this waterfall." I'm like, "All right." So we're going, and it's all uphill, and the guy doesn't tell me that it's like a couple miles away, and
Yeah.
I'm burning up, dude. The only thing I had was a hat on, and halfway through it, it's like I'm going through a psychedelic experience because I'm telling myself, "You're okay." Like the first of all, elevation, right?
Yeah.
I could not breathe for shit. My cardio was really bad. I had not been doing cardio at all,
Yeah.
right? I had probably been running because I picked up running recently for 2 days. It was like nothing, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I feel good." Like, nah, it was nothing, dude. On the hike uphill, halfway through, I'm panting. It's hot. I can't breathe. I'm like almost panicking. I'm like, "Holy shit, when does this end?" And my brothers turned around and they're like, "You all right?" I was like, "Fuck, I have to suck it in, dude." So I kept going and got to the summit. We crossed a very iffy, like not well constructed raft. It was like a rafter. Like scaffolding.
Mm-hmm.
The nails were coming off the scaffolding. The metal was it was all warped. The only thing you had for safety was like a what do they call it? Like that fine metal
The wire.
the wire, but I forget. It's like I forget what they call it. Like a 10. What do they call it when they grade the wire, like the metal?
I don't know.
Fuck, I forgot. I should know. I worked in hardware for a long time. Um, and so we're crossing it. It's shaky. It's I'm gonna say it was the length of a football field. We get through
Okay.
it. He had been there, so he kind of showed us. And then we get to a point where it's just a big old waterfall, and people are jumping off of it. But the way to that waterfall, like where you can jump off, was too sketchy because there was white water in between. And I was not about to be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna try to swim across and then get carried by the water and then land on a rock." So I didn't do that one. But you know, I did go back and do the boulder. It might have been like the size of like a 1-story house. You jump
Yeah.
off from the top to
Okay.
water. It was really fun. I did that about 50 times. Just, I mean, I didn't want to get out of the water, dude. I took my dog into the water with me. It was the first time, like, actually swimming around in the water, and she probably did not really like me, and she was cold. It was cold. She went back and forth. She was fine. But yeah, dude, it was fucking, it was a blast.
I wanted to go in the water more, but my son, he I don't know. Like I said, he's scared of everything right now. So if I were in the water, he'd be screaming bloody murder,
Yeah.
and he didn't want to go into the water. So
It's
pretty much I
funny,
couldn't go
dude.
in.
Some kids have it, some kids don't have it. Like my niece, she was like running around, like grabbing the water, getting in the water, like she didn't care it was cold.
Yeah.
My other niece, not a beep out of her the whole time. She was loving it, touching, like petting my dog, just grabbing the water, grabbing rocks, like she was having the time of her life. And then one of my nephews, who's way older, like he's like 6 years old now, he didn't even once he like slipped in one rock. He slipped on like on a mossy rock.
Yeah.
He yelled, ran out of the water, never got in again.
Yeah.
So it's like some kids have it, some kids don't have it.
See that my son will go fight anyone though. It's like, well, you're not scared of someone who's 300 times your size, but you're scared of just dipping your foot in that water.
He knows that he probably smart, man. He's like, I know this guy's not gonna hurt me. I'll sue him or something. When it comes to like, this is one thing I realized because we did the whole, the redwoods walk.
Yeah.
And I feel lucky that mankind's alive. Like it was like a culture shock. it was very shocking to see trees that are 200, 300 feet in height.
Hmm.
And you sit there and you look and you're like, oh, this is what ants, this is how ants feel. If one of those things tips over, it's going to, it could devastate a whole village.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It was definitely something that we forget. We're all like, oh, did you see the latest, Kim Kardashian thing? Like, what's going on with the keeping up with the Kardashians? I'm like, dude, people forget that nature is so big that we don't know. We're so disconnected from nature. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to come back here and just see people in traffic again and hating their lives and just it's a total shit show, man. I think people need nature, 100%. But if you're one of those people listening to this podcast now who likes to Netflix and chill, be a couch potato, not really adventurous, or if you're on the opposite side, where I say I belong, you're all for nature, you love hiking, give us a call now. Call us at 657-223-5323. We want to hear your opinion. Have you gone through a crazy hike or any of that sort? Or is there a particular show that you just can't get off the couch because you're watching this show? Give us a call. We want to know your story. We want to hear a little bit about your experience out in the wild or the lack of. So give us a call, 657-223-5323. We don't bite. We won't question you. We don't keep your identity. We don't reveal any personal details. Everything is, once you call, everything is deleted. It's like you didn't even call. So we're waiting for you guys on that. So the question of today is adventure or Netflix and chill? What do you think, Greg? What do you think? What is your perspective on the two questions? Like you just mentioned today, you're watching The Boys.
Uh-huh.
I love that show. It's a really good show with the good spin on superheroes. Right?
Well,
I wouldn't call them superheroes.
I guess that's the problem. They're not
superpowers. You're right.
They're not superheroes.
Well, I guess it's open to interpretation, but
it actually gives you a good insight on being able to look at people and just because someone's doing good doesn't mean that everything is good about them.
Yeah.
It's like don't just blindly follow people because you can see some good in people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can say that about most people in power.
Yeah.
Like they may be for a good cause, but at the end of the day, like what do they do behind doors? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who work for PETA who kick their dog, for example. Like, yeah, you may be saving hundreds of dogs every day, but you kick your dog, you're still an asshole.
Yeah.
So it's like
if that happens, all right. But go back to camping.
Bro, I'm not
there's
scared.
something that I realized about with going camping this time is that it's not necessarily every time you go camping is enjoyable. Like majority of the time when I went camping, it was enjoyable. But this last time it was much more miserable. Like the heat was not good. The organization was not good.
Okay.
You can still have bad times out there, but it is much more enjoyable to go and do things like that.
All right, we have our first caller. Let's see who this is. Hello, thank you for calling the Ether Podcast. You're live on the air.
Hello.
Welcome.
Can you hear me?
We sure can. So, adventure or Netflix and chill is the topic of today.
And you have to pick one or the other?
Yeah, I feel like a lot like myself. Like Greg and I were just talking about going camping, and we had a really good, good and mixed experience, I guess. But we're wondering, do you have any either a show because you can't just stop watching the show that you binge on, or do you have a balance? Do you watch a show all the week, like on the weekends, and then go hiking during the week? Like, what's your take on these two subjects?
So I think I would consider myself more of a indoor person rather than outdoor, if that's the question.
Okay.
I like hiking. I like hiking a lot, but if it comes to camping, I would say no.
Why?
Like I wouldn't mind it like once a year,
Uh-huh.
but not that frequently. But I'm okay hiking. But if it comes to like staying overnight or like a weekend, I would prefer to stay indoors.
Okay. Why is that?
So it's more glamping. Like if you had a 5-star hotel, but then you went on like a 15-mile hike that ended at your 5-star hotel again. That's more your scene than going for this 15-mile hike and then going back and camping in 100-degree weather.
Like if it was a hike with like a nice waterfall, I think like a nice scenery.
Okay.
Yeah, I would still probably prefer the 5-star hotel.
So you're talking, you just want like perfect conditions and then you're willing to go out. You don't want to rough it.
I've never had air conditioning my entire life, so
Okay.
I'd rather stay in nice indoor.
Okay. Okay, that's an interesting take.
And then I have guests. I don't know if they want to say anything of what they prefer, indoor or outdoor. No, they don't want to. Okay, they don't have a preference.
They don't have a preference. I mean, everybody has
No.
a preference. No?
No.
No opinion? Okay.
No
So
opinion.
have you ever gone on a hike and then you get to the top of the hill or the mountain or whatever you're climbing, and then you realize how quiet it is? Doesn't that sometimes change your perspective on this topic, basically?
The outdoor.
Yeah, like there was
You
one
feel
time. What's that?
You feel accomplished.
Accomplished, but there's something about nature that you don't get in the urban environment.
True.
It's like a peace of mind. When you're out there, you're just focused on getting to the peak, and you're not really worried about your everyday life. Doesn't that make you feel more at peace?
Well, I think that it depends a lot on how you're feeling in that moment. I mean, if you're having like a very stressful life in that moment and you just want to go outside and just like visit the nature and just stay out there, it's like good for you. But maybe if you're like good with your life, you're happy, you're like, maybe it could be like boring sometimes.
Okay. I mean, that's really true. I don't have a comeback to that.
Well, when I went camping this last week, there was a bunch of kids and they were trying to figure out, like, they were just bored. They're like, I can't be on the phone. I said, what do you need? What's on your phone that's so important? They're like, I don't know, my friends. I said, okay, why didn't you invite your friends? No answer. And then as the time went on, they started saying, oh, this is fun, because they started figuring out like what they can do out there and understanding that nothing really matters except for eating and just enjoying what's around you. And you started to pick up on little things that you weren't seeing on the first take of camping. So like you'll be sitting there, you're like, I'm bored, and then you turn and you see, I don't know, a butterfly that you've never seen before, or some type of hawk flying in and swooping up a fish in the lake that we were just camping by. Things you don't see just sitting here in an apartment. And those are the things that always got me excited for camping. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that being on the two opposite ends is interesting, but I myself, I'm in the middle. Like I'm all up for camping and going out, but I also like to be in a comfortable space. But okay, so do you have what's that?
Like I said, like exactly what you said, all in moderation. Like I don't mind all those things. Like I definitely know you're having quality moments with people if you invite them camping or hiking. It's definitely more of a qualitative type of interaction rather than just being at home on your phone on a device. Like I definitely think like that's a good thing, and obviously I just don't think it's done often. I don't know why. Summer, I think it's like impossible to do that, especially because it gets hot by like 8 a.m, for example.
Yeah.
But I know like springtime is like a good time. It's not as hot, but
yeah, it's like pick your battles.
It doesn't happen as often as like you would like, and I don't know why. It's just more convenient. Like I think we all want things just easier, so it's just stay at home or hotel is always more relaxing too. Like because hiking is a lot of work. You have to take a lot of stuff. Even camping, like it's a lot of work.
Yeah, when you're out there and really camping, you know.
Food, and I've had a friend who backpacked for 3 days up some mountain, and she literally went like, you know, biological necessities like right there on the floor, like and with leaves and I don't even know what.
Oh,
but
Greg's the
you're talking about
expert.
digging. You're talking about digging holes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg's the expert.
Yeah.
Hey, I made sure when I went out there that my son knew what he needed to do.
Yeah, I'm not about that life. I'm okay. Like,
do you have any like cool stories of a hike that, you know, maybe would change your mind on the subject, or I don't know, tell us something interesting about, you know, why it would be better to stay indoors as opposed to go out into nature.
I wouldn't say it's better. I just think it's more relaxing. No, but I don't have any stories that I can think of. Like I've definitely seen, one time I saw a mountain lion or like a rattlesnake. I never would see that like so up close, but I haven't had an experience, to be honest, that would make me like be like, oh my gosh, I want to do this all the time rather than being at home. Like to be honest.
A mountain lion, I haven't had that experience.
No, Greg only has experiences with cougars.
So I have seen a mountain lion, but only in a zoo. Yeah. I've never had seen one out in the wild. We used to go mountain biking. We've seen rattlesnakes, but nothing like that. I've always wanted to see mountain lions or bears, and I never see them.
Yeah, I think that there's something to you know, the discussion where, I mean, it all depends on the type of person you are. Like some people have it, some people don't have it.
Exactly.
But you know, it's like sometimes for me personally, it's like, do I rather go and have, you know, like a McDonald's, for example, or be, you know, in a circle with friends with the fire going, making s'mores? Like I would always prefer the latter. You know,
actually I like s'mores, so maybe I will change my mind for s'mores.
I knew you would come around.
Now that I remember that. No, it's definitely a good time. Why it's done more often, I'm not too sure now that I think about it, having this discussion. But yeah, there's just something about, I don't know, a hotel just makes me feel so like indoor, just relaxed.
Yeah, no, I definitely.
Feel like rock star.
What about adventure, just in general? You know, because adventure is a very broad subject. You don't necessarily need to go camping or go hiking. Adventure can go, you know, going to a new spot around town. Do you have any?
I definitely. Oh, I love those. Like, I'm all about that. Like, even driving like 2 to 3 hours just to go visit a museum, or 2 to 3 hours just to go check out these burritos. Like, I love little adventures like that. Like, I'm all about that.
I've done those things. Like one of my friends in high school, we used to just get in his car and go on PCH and drive until we didn't want to drive anymore, and there was no other option than to turn around, and we would get off of PCH and drive back on streets and just figure it out. Awesome. We wouldn't look up directions. We would just be like, the house is this way. Let's keep going until we see something we know. And those were fun just as much.
Is that how you ended at the donkey show in Tijuana?
No.
JK.
No, that's good. Yeah, I would say all in moderation.
Cool. Is there any other stories about adventure, or maybe a good show for people who are just, you know, tuning in to the podcast that you recommend?
Wait, I'm sorry. Repeat that. It got cut off a little bit in the middle.
So, do you have any other stories about adventure, or perhaps a good show to binge on now that people are tuning into the podcast?
No, not that I can think of. I'm seeing if my cousins have anything. I don't think so, though. Not that we can think of at the moment.
No,
Sorry.
okay. All right. Sounds like you have a homework to do. Get
Yes.
out there, go on some adventures, and hopefully you call back and let us know.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Have a good one.
Thank you for calling. So all in moderation, Greg. I guess that's the moral. It's like I think that that's a good statement, but I do think also that we need more. We need nature more than we actually believe. Like I know everyone was like, "Well, this is nature. Like we have evolved, and now we live in in an urban environment." That's true, but I remember this time where it must have been the first time we went biking up to the peak of Irvine Park.
Yep.
And when we got up there, remember we took BMX bikes for 20 miles just to get up to this damn peak. And when we got up there, what did we hear?
Wind.
Nothing. There was no sound. It was just a sight to behold.
Yeah.
There was no sound. There was no bullshit. There was no smog. It was just I almost cried. Like I almost shed a tear for that. Like I could not believe it that living so close to a place like that, I had never had experienced that. It actually reminded me a lot of Mexico.
Okay.
In Mexico, when you would come out. I mean, back then, like my town was not developed at all. We didn't have paved roads. We didn't have nothing. We didn't have electricity, nothing. When you came out, it was just nature in your front yard. And you would go run. I remember going to school. As soon as I was out of school, I would take off my shoes and just run.
Mm-hmm.
I would run home. I would run to my friend's house. I would just run. That was like my natural state. And I've been so disconnected from that forever. Until recently.
That's one weird thing. I take the kids to the park after school, and the kids ask to take their shoes off. And I've started to say no because a lot of the other parents didn't want their kids to take their shoes off. And my kids were kind of inspiring those kids to want to do it. So I wasn't wanting those kids to get in trouble. And
come on,
but
man.
I tell them, I'm like, hey, if I wasn't at school or at church, my shoes were not on as a kid. If I was walking through the alleyway that had broken glass and those little burr things in the summertime that stab you, I just walk through it. Who cares?
It's our natural state. Like we have shoes. Shoes are not natural, although we have been wearing them for probably 1,000 years. They're not natural.
Yeah.
Like we need to feel the sand, the earth, the grass. We need to feel all these things. We're missing out. We're depriving our body from the essential things that it needs.
I never thought about that, but do you ever curl your toes forward like in your shoe sometimes?
Yeah, don't do that because you're gonna get hammer toe.
I already got it. But no,
dude,
I just thought about that. What if that's a natural instinct of your body trying to reach for the ground?
Oh, you mean like trying to ground itself?
Trying to get it to the ground, and there's
who did we talk to on the podcast? We were talking about being grounded. I don't know if it was
it was the I forget her name, but the lady the Shadowlands.
Oh, Marianne.
Yeah,
Marianne. Dude, we have to have her again.
Yeah, that was really good.
So grounding yourself is part of a spiritual. Well, she said it more of a spiritual sense, but grounding yourself is just very natural.
Mm-hmm. She was talking about like if you go on airplanes, they say to go and stand bare feet in like the grass or in the dirt and just just kind of rub yourself into it, and then it should help you with the anxiety of like airplanes and
Oh,
the
yeah,
airplane
yeah.
sickness.
So feeling like dude, we are numbing ourselves to death. We don't want to feel the cold. We wear a jacket. We don't want to, feel the rough floor. We wear shoes. We're just numbing ourselves. That's why we're so soft as people.
Yeah. I mean,
You know-
I guess there's certain times if you're just a little cold, you don't need to put on a jacket to warm yourself up a lot. But if you're freezing cold, yeah, definitely put a jacket on.
Well, I don't know, dude.
It's
I
time
knew
and place.
somebody in high school who would wear a sweater whether it was 60 degrees or 1,000
Hey,
degrees.
I was trying to do I was trying to do the reverse Wim Hof, man.
Dude, I was like, bro, you're in a sauna every day of your life.
And I look good. Not.
Not.
No, to tell you the truth, like looking back on it, there were two reasons I actually wore that jacket. One was because it was annoying when you were in the bathroom and someone saw you with long hair and they thought they were in the girls' restroom. So you hide the back of your head so no one could say anything.
That's
And
why
then
you wore a
the other one
hoodie
was I had a
365 days a year.
I also had a cyst in this chest under the titty, and it made it like poke out to here. So
Yeah.
wearing the jacket, you couldn't tell. So those were the two reasons I wore it.
That was it,
Mostly, yeah.
bro. How much musk did you accrue in that sweater during the day? Like, I could not believe it. It was hot. We played handball.
I mean, unless you noticed anything, I don't think I was like nasty in a sense. Like, I don't think I
didn't think you were nasty, but it was like, dude, I mean,
there were people at the school who like never, dude, I took so many showers all the time, but not because I was like, oh, I feel dirty. I enjoy showers. I still do it to this day. But there were people at the school who would be normal and they stink like a rotten sock who's bitten in a freaking.
Oh, what?
I don't know.
A rotten
sock
that was bitten into what?
and anything and everything. I don't know. Those were two of the reasons.
Yeah,
because I remember going to prom and we went to Buca de Beppo and I went to go pee. And I was at the stall, and the guy walked in. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to go in the women's restroom."
I'm 100%.
He walked out.
Buca de Beppo. I'm pretty sure it was at South Coast Plaza.
Oh, then this was not prom. Then
this
was winter formal.
What is it called?
Winter formal.
The animal.
Yeah, Rainforest Cafe.
Rainforest Cafe.
But I was at Buca de Beppo. I remember this, so it must have been a different dance that I went to. He straight out said, "Sorry, I didn't mean to walk into the women's restroom." He turned around, walked in the women's restroom, and I heard him say the same thing again.
So he's like, "What the fuck am I drunk? What's going on here?" Bro, it's because you wore your hair, and every time you looked up, because you couldn't see, because your hair. If you're just listening to this podcast, Greg had a hair that was as long as
shoulders,
shoulder length,
shoulder, yeah.
And his bangs would go to the left,
like an
and
emo.
cover.
No, I did mine to the right,
it would cover one eye. And so every time he looks up to look at you, he always moved his. He shook his head a little bit, like he moved his head a little bit, just so that he can see. So I don't blame the guy, but then also you're wearing shorts every day.
Yeah.
Like, how does he even? Oh, but you were wearing a suit, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I was wearing a suit and no hoodie, so he just saw the long hair.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Because my hair was really like thick. It wasn't like thin where you could be like, all right. It was like it. A lot of girls said like, "Oh, I wish I had the volume of your hair," and I was like, "I wish my hair was thinner." God damn it.
Yeah. No. So why? How did we get here? We're talking about how we're numbing ourselves to death. We're always wearing, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's fine. I mean, we should be comfortable. I am not going to take that away from anybody. But I think that it's really important to understand where we lie in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if you ask like a Gen Z kid who's on TikTok who has 1 billion followers right now, and you ask him, "Hey, do you think you can, you know, last 10 minutes in Alaska without a shirt on?" They're gonna say yes because they've never well, depending if I'm just gonna say, let's say they're from Florida and they have 1 billion people following them on TikTok or whatever, and you say you're gonna go to Alaska, you're not gonna wear a shirt for the whole day. You think you can do it? Oh hell yeah, I can do it. Like cocky, right? You can expect them to be cocky. Once they arrive, you think they're gonna do it? They're not going to do that. If you ask them, would you shovel, a mine? Would you shovel sand or dirt for 20 hours a day? Do you think they're going to do it? No, because we're comfortable. Like we're just comfortable, and there's a real good argument that if you want to survive longer in here in life, if you want to be survive longer, be healthier, you need to be a little bit more uncomfortable. You need to put your body in a survival mode. And that's basically what I've been doing, man. I've been reading a lot. I've been, some like articles, health journals, listen to some podcasts, and they recommend that you put yourself in a position where it's a survival mode so that you can fend off disease.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like if you're not fending off disease on an everyday because you're not on survival, you're comfortable, you're probably not going to be able to last as long.
I think that's one of the exciting things about camping is that the only thing that matters is surviving. Like if you're out there and it's hot, you got to think about ways to not be hot.
Yeah,
You don't care anymore about sitting there on your and looking at some YouTube
Your
videos
Twitter,
or TikTok or Twitter TikTok.
Hey, don't fuck around with those Tic Tacs because those might be the next thing you need to worry about.
So you don't think about that, and you're just like, okay, how am I gonna get some shade? What are we gonna go do? Like, it's no longer the care of the excitement. You're getting the full emotion of pleasure from, like, let's say a deer walks by. That's entertainment. You're gonna get a dopamine hit of happiness, or you're gonna it's gonna be hot, so you're a little bit miserable. Your feet are in the sand, so you're grounding yourself.
Taking a hit, dude.
Like you're getting a full variety of emotions that may not be as prominent as you think, and that's why it's much more. You get a different sense of accomplishment at the end of the day than you do in a world that's all about advertisement and all about getting that next
pleasure.
information that gives you.
But instant pleasure, right?
Yeah. I actually asked the kids because they were watching TikTok when we got to a grocery store on the way up. I said,
"Is it TikTok or TikTok?" Because
if I say TikTok,
bro,
TikTok,
dude, TikTok, don't mess with those shit, dude, because they're real, man. We have to have another rabbit hole on those.
I told them, I was like, "Hey, are you tired of these like 5-second videos? Like, are you ever annoyed that they're not longer?"
They're like, "No, I need them shorter."
The instant message.
I need 3 seconds.
The instant response back is they just added 2-minute videos, and I was like, so instead of saying yes or no, you just say something else.
Look, instant gratification, dude, is never gonna go away. We've had it. I mean, I think that we've had it as far back as taking the first bite of food. Okay. It was that instant, like, oh, this is good. This is good for my body. I want this. Then we had farming, and look what that did to the American people.
Yeah.
We took away everything that was organic. I mean, I guess because our population was growing, but also had we not had farming, do you think that our population would have grown exponentially? Maybe not. But also farming you could say that it was the catalyst for all the technology that we have right now.
Yeah, but there's ways we can farm and not have to overconsume. The type of farming we have has increased our consumption.
Right now, because everything is so much faster, it's everywhere. I mean, if I'm hungry, I don't need to go catch a deer. I can just go to McDonald's. Right? Like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a dangerous road to be on this instant gratification, 24/7. I mean, recently, man, I picked up running. I've just been running 3 miles a day,
Hmm.
whether I feel it or not. Mainly because of the events in the last months that have changed my perspective on things. And also, it's like, okay, well, I'm 30 and I need to start taking care of my body because I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not like recovering as fast.
Hmm.
So I need to start getting myself into survival mode so that I can fend off disease. I can, potentially do better, when the new variants come out, because who the fuck knows what that's going to happen
Yeah.
and what that means for people, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. But then also it's like, gosh, like, I mean, I'm not really a person who naps a lot. So it's kind of difficult for me to sit here and be like, oh, like I love my bed, but I do enjoy a nice sleep at night. Dude, I freaking put on the AC sometimes when it's hot and I chill the room and I'm out.
Yeah.
And I'm out, dude. Those you can't really get that out there,
Yeah. When
particularly in like places like Arizona where it's like, or Las Vegas. Even at night, it's like 120 degrees out. Like, dude, I can't do that shit.
you were talking about naps and all that. It's interesting. When I was working at the restaurant, I've done many different jobs within the restaurant. When I was managing, I'd have a little bit more of a consistent amount of hours. I would be working more morning, afternoons. But when I was working only nights,
Yeah.
I wanted to be fresh at night, and the only way to do that was to make sure to get like an hour and a half to 2 hour nap right before going to work. So it's like, take that nap, take that shower, get fresh, get ready to go, give 100%, fall asleep at night when you get back home.
Yeah.
So
There's something to it, man. I mean, sleep is very important. Not gonna lie. I think it's if anything, it's probably the most important thing that our body needs. It's first sleep, then water, then food, and then everything else. Like that's basically all a person needs to do.
I'd probably flip it and go food, water, sleep.
Yeah, but you can go without food for 40 days, but you can't go without sleep. I think like 3 days you start becoming delusional.
You become delusional, but you're still alive.
Dude, but how are you gonna feed yourself if you're delusional? You can't.
You eat the special berries. You'll be all right. You
The
might be a little
special
bit.
berries,
You
dude.
might be a little bit more delusional, but you're still alive.
40 No, you can't go 40 days without sleep. That's nonsense. Someone died like when gaming first started. You remember? What was it, COD?
Yeah,
They were
but
playing
that was
Call of Duty or what?
Those were completely different than just they weren't sleeping. It was the lack of sleep and the huge increase of sugar and caffeine because they were just chugging energy
Mountain
drinks.
Dew, Red Bull,
It was like chugging
eating
original
freaking
like
pizzas.
C4 pre-workout like every like 30 minutes and staying awake for like 60 hours straight. Their brains are just blowing up.
Dude. Oh man. But had he had been sleeping, he could have done that, the C4s and stuff, I think. I think that the
still don't
sleeping
think so.
really, I think
The
that
original
sleeping,
C4 had been banned and is illegal to sell.
why? They had the GH or something? Or what?
No, it had too much of caffeine, and I think it did have one ingredient that got banned.
Oh, okay.
So the
I'm
caffeine was too high, and
I'm
there
not
was an
too familiar with
ingredient I
that.
can't remember the name of because it's been
But
banned.
so anyway, today's question is adventure or Netflix and chill. What do you prefer? If you're still listening to this or if you're new to the podcast, you can call in right now, share your story with us at 657-223-5323. The number is 657-223-5323. We do this every week. We took a break. Some personal stuff happened. We've been on some trips. We haven't been here, but we're back now. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at TPP is loading. That's at TPP is loading. So you can keep up with the latest adventures, and shows we watch. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video and hit that notification bell so that you're notified when we go live for the Ether podcast. But we'll be here for a little longer. See if we have any more stories that somebody wants to share. You guys can call in at 657-223-5323 while Greg and I rant a little bit longer about our recent trips.
So this one may not be recent, but it's still a camping trip. It was back in, I should say, high school, and we had gone up to the Sequoias. I don't know the name of the area. I thought that the Sequoias was just kind of like you go up the mountain and you're in the Sequoias.
No, dude, it's like a whole forest.
But all I remember is there was a river that went through it, and there was a campground on one side, and there was just forest on the other. And then right at the top of that, there was kind of like a pond with a rock you can jump off of.
That's where I went.
Or there was like a kind of like a rock slide.
That's exactly where we went.
Okay. And we went with a group of people in the church that I grew up in. And my brothers and I and a few other people, this is like in the laser tag era. So we had bought laser tag stuff. You wear this like chest plate and you wear one on your back. And then you have this laser gun in your hand, and the guns make these noise like when you shoot, it goes pew pew. And if you get hit, your gun and your vest
it lights up.
It like makes a noise like. Yeah. And so we would be out there in the woods just playing laser tag.
Right.
And my brother one year, he didn't tell us, and when we got there, he had bought this brand new laser bazooka, dude. You could set it up like a mortar, or you can hold it like a bazooka. And this thing, it was so much fun. But I remember.
How did that work?
It just was lasers. If the laser hit your sensor, then.
But how does a mortar like work? I don't even understand how that works.
It was more like it was.
Like it would just send like.
Yeah, it would send out in a bigger kind of laser. But we played on this river. And one morning we wake up and we were going to go out to play the laser tag, and we look across the river and there was a baby bear, and far off in the distance, I couldn't see it, but everyone was like, there's a mom bear up there. Don't go anywhere near that baby bear. But you can clearly see the baby bear.
So you saw a baby bear up there?
Yeah. And that was the only time I think I ever actually saw a bear. Everything other than that was more like, oh, it sounds like a bear. That shape, it looks like one. But you never actually saw it. But those camp trips are always the best up in this Sequoia.
Yeah. It was fun, dude. Did you guys have a did you guys end up going up to the rock? There's like a rock up at the very top, the peak of the Sequoia. I forget what it's called. People have died by lightning up there, but we climbed it. Like it was about, it was like a 15-minute like climb.
Was it like a rock face that had like a really small waterfall, and then like at the base of that there was a giant rock and just a pond?
No, that's exactly where we went.
And that was a hike from the campground.
Yeah, but it was like short. It was like 10 minutes. But there, if you drove up to the top of the mountain, of one of the mountains, I guess it would be the highest peak. One of the not the highest peak. Maybe like the third highest peak up there.
Okay.
It was like a giant just rock, and there's stairways up there, very narrow. I'll show you a picture later. And you had to kind of hold on to a rail, and then people are coming through, so you kind of navigate through people. But at the very top, you can see the entire landscape of the national forest, and then 3 of the other highest peaks of the national forest. It's really, really cool.
Okay.
You didn't go up there?
No, it doesn't sound familiar to me.
So yeah, we did that. We walked the redwoods, which was really cool. Again, giant redwoods. I'm pretty sure. Well, I guess that this is my take of it. The reason why they grow so big is because being California and being in that part of the world, where they sometimes get a lot of water during spring.
Hmm.
The redwoods had to really grow as high, like they were competing against each other because the canopies, which is the top of the trees,
Hmm.
they're all fighting for sunlight.
Yeah.
Without that, they would die. So they had to be that ginormous in that particular space. Now, the other theory is that maybe it's Nephilims. Maybe this is where Nephilims used to reside. Some of these trees are descendants of trees in the Jurassic era. Right? Like
Sure.
dinosaurs? Like, I don't know, man. They're freaking giant. Like, what how do you explain it? Like, we're so small. Like, what's the point of these trees? What is the point of those trees?
What's the point of the giant world?
All right, now here we go, Greg. We're talking about in particular with the trees. Like, what is the point? Like, I don't know. I don't understand.
I don't know. I don't think there is necessarily a huge point into why they're big. Sure, I'm sure there's a logical reason for why they're big, but I don't think it's some great mystery. It's like they got big. It's like we don't control how big or how small we get. Sure, we can control some small aspect of it.
Well, have you realized that the kids every generation are significantly bigger than their parents?
I don't
the average kid.
I don't necessarily think that is completely true in the sense of size, in the sense of weight. Maybe we're getting fatter because of the amount of food we have, but we can't control like let's just say a midget doesn't control if he can get taller. Like I don't control how tall I got. I can control how much weight I have, but me losing weight doesn't change how tall I am.
Well, now with CRISPR and being able to alter your DNA in the womb, now we will be able to do that soon. I think China's doing that, but anyway, well, that's another story for another time. Point is, get out there, don't sit on your butt. It's good to enjoy the commodities that we have, living a comfortable life in the ever more urban place that we live in, with cities. But it's good to get a reminder, get out there, get uncomfortable, go for a run, feel the sun, get some vitamin D. It's what everybody needs. So with that being said, we've been here for an hour. We will be back again next week. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a spicier topic for you guys to call in for. You know where to find us. It's at TPP is loading. That's at TPP is loading on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to keep up with us. You can also like and subscribe so that the YouTube algorithm helps us reach a wider variety of an audience. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you are notified when we go live. And that's that. And that's it, and that's that.
That's all, folks.
Yeah. What was that, Greg?
It's the bunny. It says that's all, folks, right? And he eats his carrot.
I'm gonna give it to you, dude.
Right.
Anyway, we will be back next week. Look out for us, and happy 4th of July if we don't see you.
Shoot one off for me.